Everyone in town told me the strange man who skips through the streets is harmless. They were wrong. A few years ago, I moved to a small rural town. I grew up in a big city. Loud, chaotic, the kind of place you can't wait to leave. So, when I was old enough, I did. The town I moved to is small, quiet, surrounded by forests and mountains that look like something out of a postcard. A few restaurants, a couple of bars, one supermarket, a tiny police station. That's it. The nearest Walmart is an hour away. It's off the grid, and I love it that way. I've lived here for 3 years now, and other than one horrible day, it's been perfect. But even the most peaceful towns can hide something dark. When I first arrived, I took a part-time job at the local supermarket. Stocking shelves, unloading trucks, simple work. I had plenty of free time, and I used every second of it to hike. There are forests here that would take a lifetime to fully explore. Every day off, rain or shine, I went into the woods, and almost everyone I met in this town was kind, welcoming, normal. Almost everyone. There was one man. His name was Hector. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't dangerous as far as anyone knew. He was just strange. On another planet, kinda strange. The first time I met him, I was arriving at work just after 5 in the morning. He ran straight at my car window. Where I'm from, you don't wait to see what someone like that wants. You react. I put my hands up. I started yelling. He screamed back in my face and skipped away. Skipped. Like a child in a playground. A coworker told me not to worry. That's just Hector, she said. He's harmless. Nobody knew where he lived. Some thought he was homeless, maybe under a bridge somewhere. The town just let him wander. For weeks I saw him everywhere. Early mornings, late nights leaving the bar. He was short, maybe 5'3", but built like an ox. Stained white tank top, strange blue pants, a long gray beard, bald on top with the rest of his hair tied back in a ponytail, and always skipping. One morning, I saw him on a street corner waving at someone. When I drove past, I realized there was no one there. He was talking, laughing, having a full conversation with empty air. I didn't think much of it until the next weekend. I was deep in the woods, somewhere I'd never hiked before, and I heard a voice. Out there, in that kind of silence, any voice is wrong. I should have turned back. Instead, I walked toward it. One of the voices sounded like it was in pain, so I gripped my pocket knife and I crept closer. Behind a thick cluster of trees, I found the source. It wasn't two people. It was Hector, talking to himself, switching voices like flipping a switch. One voice was cruel, mocking, calling him a coward. Then, just as fast, it broke down into weeping, begging for forgiveness. Each voice sounded like it belonged to a different person entirely. I stayed hidden. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. And then the angry voice came back, and without even looking my way, it said, "He's hiding behind the tree. This time, you can't let him get away." Hector turned. He looked directly at me through the branches, and for the first time, I saw real rage in his eyes. He charged. He wasn't skipping anymore. He was sprinting, faster than I thought possible. I ran. Behind me, I could hear him laughing, then screaming that I would never make it out of those woods alive. I ran until I couldn't hear him anymore. I made it back to my car, hands shaking. Looking over my shoulder the entire way, I went straight to the police station. The sheriff almost didn't believe me. She couldn't picture Hector like that, but when I described where it happened, her face went white. Because years ago, in that exact part of the forest, they found human remains. A local man, murdered. The case was never solved. It's the one dark stain on this otherwise peaceful town. And now she was wondering, could Hector be connected? She tried to remember when he first appeared in town. Her memory was hazy, but she was almost certain he showed up around the same time those remains were found. We went back into the woods together, to the exact spot, but Hector was gone. The sheriff, who has since retired, got emotional standing there, because it was almost the exact location where the body had been discovered all those years before. They never found him again. No one in town ever saw Hector after that day. It's like the forest simply swallowed him whole. I still hike those woods, every chance I get, and every single time part of me expects him to come out of the trees. I always carry my knife now, just in case. Sometimes, the most harmless-looking people carry the most damage. I don't know if Hector was responsible for that murder, but after what I saw in those woods that day, it wouldn't surprise me.